Right then guys, how's it going and welcome back to your football predictions for game week 36. Sorry this is later in the week than planned, but it's been another busy week, but we are not giving up 36 weeks into the season now. Those were my predictions from game week 35. I did okay, I got 2 correct scores. I was right that Burnley would beat Watford 2-1 and that Arsenal would beat West Ham 2-1 as well. As always, loads of you guys got involved on the last video, so I'll put a whole lot of comments on screen now. Be sure to get your predictions down in the comments for game week 36. But as always, we will go through the games together now. Game week 36 is a double game week, so 12 teams play twice. So there is a lot of predictions to go through. This video could probably last an hour, but I'm going to try my best get through them in a good amount of time. So there is no early kickoff on Saturday. Instead, that's been moved to the late game. So we actually start at the 3 o'clock kickoffs with Brentford taking on Southampton. Brentford sitting in 14th place, Southampton sitting in 15th place. Brentford are going for a strong finish to the end of the season. I think they've won 4 of the last 7 games. They've only lost twice in those games as well. Lost against Manchester United in the last game, but generally, you know, considering they are a promoted side, have had a cracking season. They started great, they ended great, the middle wasn't so great. But overall, they've done alright. Taking on a Southampton side who, to be honest, are trying to finish, you know, with a poor season. They've only won 1 of the last 7. I remember not too long ago I was saying they had an outsider chance at Europa League football, Europa League conference, and that's gone way, way off. So I've backed Brentford 2-1. Next up, it's Burnley taking on Aston Villa. So Burnley sitting in 16th place now, outside of that relegation zone, actually ahead of Leeds in the league now as well, which is pretty crazy. Again, Sean Dyche got sacked on the fact that Burnley looked like they were going down. Now they are, you know, not just above Everton, they've actually managed to jump Leeds as well. Taking on Villa this weekend, who again haven't been the greatest of late. Can Burnley increase that jump away from the relegation zone? I've backed them to do it. I've gone 1-0. I think Villa are a better side on paper. Let's not get it wrong. But I think Burnley have, you know, picked themselves up and are really running with it. So I'm going to back them to win this one as well. Next up, it's Chelsea taking on Wolves. So Chelsea are sitting in 3rd place. I've been saying for ages that they will comfortably finish in the Champions League spots this season. Well, the testing is now losing 1-0 against Everton at the weekend, a team who couldn't beat anyone. I think they are 3 points ahead of Arsenal, who are in 4th. I think they will finish top 4. I think they're trying to test themselves going into the end of the season. Maybe Arsenal will jump them before the end, but I think they will get Champions League. Taking on a Wolves side who are sitting in 8th, and if I'm not mistaken, are 3 points behind West Ham in 7th with a game in hand. So Wolves are still well in the shout for a Europa League conference spot. Obviously West Ham this week got knocked out of the Europa League. They are going to want to make sure they get Europe again this season, so it won't be easy for them. And despite my better judgment, I have backed Chelsea to win this one 1-0. If they turn up like they did against West Ham, then who knows what will happen. Next up, we've got Crystal Palace taking on Watford. So Crystal Palace sitting in 12th. Another mid-table finish for them. But, you know, they've had some positive points. I mean, Conor Gallagher's been great for them if they can somehow keep him at the end of this season. I think Vieira, for his first full season in the Premier League, has done a good job. I think Zaha's looked great, and they want to try and, you know, push on again next season. In terms of Watford sitting in 19th, I think mathematically they can still escape. I think if they win every game and everyone above them loses every game, then they can still stay up, but their form's been terrible, and I can't see them winning this one. I've gone Crystal Palace 2-0. On to the 5:30 kickoff now on Sky. We have got Brighton taking on Manchester United. So Brighton sitting in 9th place. Again, they were another team who had a really good start to the season, had a bit of a quiet middle of the season, but are finishing pretty well. In recent games, they beat Spurs, they beat Arsenal, they beat Wolves 3-0 in their last game, and taking on a Manchester United side sitting in 6th place. Someone was telling me the other day that they mathematically couldn't qualify for Champions League now. Unless I'm reading the league wrong, I think they still can. It's going to be very tough. I think, again, they're going to have to win all their games and hope some people lose them. And again, their form's just been crazy as well. Obviously, the big news on them really is, Lingard leaving. His brother posted on Instagram saying that he's left, wasn't allowed to say goodbye. I think the club inside is in a very strange place at the moment. The new manager's coming in. They really need to start a new project and get into the next season. But for right now, I've backed a draw here. I've gone 1-1. Again, Brighton need to turn up and be on top form, and they need to hope that Manchester United are still having what is a bit of a nightmare. Let me know your thoughts on that one. Next up at 7:45 on the Saturday on BT Sport, we have got Liverpool taking on Spurs. So Liverpool now the only English team left in Europe and will take on Real Madrid in that Champions League final at the end of the month, and are still just that 1 point behind Manchester City in the league. They aren't going to want to let up, but they're taking on a Spurs side who have got a lot to play for as well, currently sitting in 5th place and are still very much in a shout of that Champions League spot. I think Liverpool will be on a high, having known that they've made it through to the Champions League final. They have, however, just played a very intense game after being 2-0 down, coming back to 3-2. And again, taking on a Spurs side where Kane and Son seem to be firing again. But I have backed Liverpool. I've gone 2-1. I think it'll be a big game, but I think they will do it. On to the Sunday now at 2 o'clock, and this one is on TV. It's on Sky. We have got Arsenal taking on Leeds. I've already mentioned Arsenal a few times now, sitting in 4th place again. Challenging for that Champions League spot, and that's where they want to finish come the end of the season. Taking on a Leeds side who are the other end of the table, sitting in 17th place. As I've mentioned, Burnley have now pushed past them in the league, and honestly, not that long ago I would have said Leeds had nothing to worry about. It just shows how many points these teams are picking up right now. You talk about 40 points being the magic mark, and everyone was saying, oh, you're not going to need anywhere near that this season. It's getting close to it, because teams are winning. And I think Leeds will have a tough one. I can see goals here. I think the way to make this a good game would be if Leeds scored first, because I think Arsenal would have to come out the blocks. I think if Arsenal score an early goal, they'll just sit off. They're at home. And I have backed Arsenal to win 2-1. Next up again on the Sunday, again at 2 o'clock, but not on TV, we have got Leicester taking on Everton. So Leicester finishing mid-table this season. They can still jump into the top half of the table. They've got a few games left in hand, and they've got a double game week this week. But ultimately, possibly not the Premier League season they'd hoped for. But a great showing in the Europa League conference, but unfortunately losing this week against Roma and dropping out of that. So it's a restart next season. Can they challenge for those Europa League spots again? Taking on Everton this weekend, who are sitting in 18th place, so they are the team who have dropped down into that relegation zone. Again, what a win for them against Chelsea. I mean, you just can't write it, can you? It's been so entertaining. As a Newcastle fan, I'm very happy that we're well away from that at the moment, because it's just been absolutely mad. There's still like a handful of teams that are still in it. I think after this weekend, that could well change depending on who wins and loses. But yeah, crazy. I've gone 1-1. I think Leicester on paper are a better side. I think it's back in front of the home fans. I think they've got some, mentally some making up to do after losing in the week. And again, as much as Everton did beat Chelsea, they've been pretty useless. However, they will be on a high as well. But yeah, 1-1. The final 2 o'clock game on Sunday is Norwich taking on West Ham. So Norwich 20th place. They are back down to the Championship next season. Although I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe saw them back again the following season, because they always do a great job of getting up. They just struggle to stay up. That's the problem. Taking on a West Ham side who are in 7th. I've mentioned them already. Unfortunately, they were knocked out of Europe during the week, and they're going to want to make sure they can try and grab some European football for next season as well. And they're in the pole position to do it, and I expect them to beat a down-and-out Norwich side. I've gone 2-0 West Ham. And the final weekend game, 4:30 on Sky, we have got Man City taking on Newcastle. So we have to talk about that Man City-Real Madrid game during the week. Man City was seemingly just minutes away from a Champions League final, and Real Madrid managed to turn it round out of nowhere, to be honest, and then winning in extra time. Yeah, Pep has got a team who will be physically tired because a lot of them have just played 120 minutes. Not De Bruyne, not Jesus, not a selection of players that he brought off, and obviously he's had a little bit of stick for that. But again, you know, in Pep's position, if he'd done nothing, and then they'd lost, they would have said, why didn't you make substitutes? So, you know, he's fighting a losing cause. The fact is they lost. There's players who are going to be tired, but I think it's mentally to pick those players up and say we've got to go again. Because, again, they're just 1 point ahead of Liverpool, who aren't going to slow down. They need to make sure they pick up 3 points. They're taking on a Newcastle side who are currently sitting in 10th, so just about in the top half at the moment. Lost against Liverpool at the weekend, which was obviously, again, a tough game. Two very good teams. Newcastle struggled in that game creatively. I think Eddie Howe's got his work cut out this weekend to try and see how he can try and get a goal past this Man City squad. I think the big thing for Newcastle would be to try and start well. Again, if Newcastle can get a goal early on, I think that Man City crowd will be going, hang on, we're lost in the Champions League and now the Premier League's not looking great either. So it's all very mental. Newcastle have had a lifeline with the potential return of both Wilson and Trippier would be huge going into this one. Man City are a good team, man. I'm going to go 3-1 Man City. And for all the Newcastle fans watching, I'm sorry. I promise I want us to win. I think we've got a chance. I think if we score early, we can do. And when I say 3-1, I'm hoping it's not, you know, getting battered 3-1. I'm hoping it's, you know, 1-1 for a very long time, and then they score late on, and then as we're trying to get the draw, they put us away with a third. I'm hoping that's wrong, but I hope Newcastle prove me wrong. Time to jump into some quick fire predictions now as we head into the midweek games. On Tuesday at 8 o'clock, we have got Villa taking on Liverpool. Steven Gerrard takes on his old side. I have backed Liverpool to win that one 2-1. On the Wednesday night, we have got Leeds taking on Chelsea again. Leeds aside, desperate to get away from those relegation zones. Chelsea aside, trying to make sure they get that Champions League spot. I think that could well make for an entertaining game, and I have gone for goals. I've gone for 2-1 Chelsea. Again on the Wednesday night, but at 7:45, we have got Leicester taking on Norwich. Again, Leicester mid-table finish, but taking on a down-and-out Norwich side, so I've backed them 2-0. And then we've also got Watford taking on Everton on that Wednesday night, which again is a huge game. I think depending on what happens this weekend, Watford could well be relegated regardless, and Everton will have everything to play for. So I have backed Everton 1-0. 8 o'clock on the Wednesday night, we have got Wolves taking on Man City. Again, two teams with still a lot to play for. Wolves challenging for Europa League spot. Man City making sure they stay top of that table. And I think regardless of what happens with Man City Newcastle or Wolves Chelsea, I think Man City by that point will have had some time to really recuperate. And I'm going to go 2-0 Man City there. And then on the Thursday night, the Champions League spots are up for grabs, and it's Spurs taking on Arsenal. What a game that is going to be. It's miles away. It's almost next weekend by the time we'll get to that one. And I have gone for goals galore, but I have not picked a winner. I've gone 2-2. And those are my predictions up there for game week 36. So many games going on over the next 2 weeks, and I will be back for game week 37.